Well, hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Conversations. This week, we're going to be talking about the 6 signs of healthy, thriving church teams. Really, it all comes down to this one word, engagement. So again, I believe the number one indicator of your team is not the size, the skill, or the depth, but engagement. All of those things lead to engagement. But when a team is engaged, they show up early, they bring energy, they take ownership, they don't just serve, they care. So in this episode, I'm going to be walking you through 6 signs of a truly engaged team. Most importantly, I'll give you 2 simple ways to strengthen each one. It's really healthy for me anyways to not just talk about problems or point things out, but really want to give you some solutions here. And these are the practical handles that you can put into action today. Whenever you're watching this, you can literally take one of these 6 indicators of an engaged team, implement these solutions, and I promise you your team will be more healthy over time. Because again, these are just practical handles that you can put into practice this week. Because I want to build a team that's healthy, motivated, and alive. So again, these are going to be the 6 signs of a healthy, thriving team. Number 1, purpose. People stay engaged when they know why their work matters. When the why is high, the cost is low. When you don't continually share vision or share the why, what you're going to end up having is a consistent withdrawals without deposits. And people either forget, because we're all human, we get bored, or we lose track. We forget why we're doing it. We forget why I'm a part of it. And really, the solution is you need to link the task to the transformation. A lot of times we share vision without communicating how the task actually applies to transformation. So yes, it's amazing that you want to reach your city, but if you're not careful, what you could do is you'll actually just give that, but you won't actually attach it to anything of value or any weight attached to what they're actually doing. It's really, really important for us to understand the number one indicator of an engaged team is aligned purpose. So over and over and over again, you're going to have to link the tasks to the transformation. And this is really just 2 thoughts or 2 solutions around this. And how do we make sure people still understand purpose is everything? It's literally as if it is a boat without a rudder, because the rudder is the purpose. So you might be in a boat, but you're not going to go in your destination because they're going to go off track. Here's a couple thoughts attached to purpose. Start every team huddle or leader meeting with a story of impact. Just open up the floor and ask people to share stories. Or, hey, why did you start coming to church? What made you decide to follow Jesus? Maybe it's a story of salvation. Maybe it's a first-time guest experience, or somebody got baptized in your small group. All that stuff is amazing. And what it does is it revitalizes purpose. Because we always have to show the behind-the-scenes work, because it leads to life change. If we don't, we will rob people the growth in church of the journey of understanding, man, that's a grind, but it's so beautiful and it's so worth it. Because engagement is honestly a lot easier when we have an infinite purpose to make a difference in our city. The second solution for this one is make it a habit to connect ministry tasks to your vision. Don't just assign a role, explain the why behind it. And I've given a lot of examples in other podcasts, but this is an easy one. This isn't just a camera, it's a front row seat for someone online to hear the gospel. We're not just pushing road cases, we're changing the world, and someone's going to know Jesus today because we set up a kids ministry. You always have to take that extra step, whatever the action is, and attach it to a practical way that somebody can see that they're making a difference, or like the number 1 point, you're making and living in purpose. Number 2, growth. Stagnant teams disengaged. Growing teams multiply. So this is just as simple as possible. Stretch them, don't just staff them. You need to understand that the high capacity quality leaders in your organization, in your church, want to grow. They want to get better. They want to be around people who are better than them. They want to go to conferences and learn from amazing men and women of God. Because why? They want to grow. The best people in every single vertical are always the ones who are so hungry to grow. That's why the best leaders in the world are the people who ask questions all the time. You'd be in a conversation with a huge pastor who has 20 campuses and he's asking you questions. You're like, how does that make sense? It's because he's obsessed with learning. He wants to get better. Kobe was known for this. Kobe Bryant, every year there'd be rookies in, and during their training camps, their rookie camps, he would be soaking in anything he can from the rookies. Oftentimes, they would either transition them out, or they get traded, or they would get dropped, but he would always learn from the rookies. And that's Kobe. And I think we can model that. I think we can model growth. If you're not growing, your team won't grow. And it's imperative to create stretch assignments, small leadership moments where a volunteer can lead a huddle, train a new person, run a team meeting, do a team rally, do a prayer moment, do a communication moment in service. You just have to get people in a space where they're uncomfortable and you have to be with them. That's being a good coach and that's being a good leader. The second solution for this one is schedule one-on-ones or coffee chats with leaders and ask questions. What do you want to learn? Where do you feel stuck? And then resource them. Give books, shadowing opportunities, podcast recommendations, maybe just give an offer, an insight on an area that they're asking or wanting to learn. It's usually the thing that I'm most passionate about. I'm obsessed with learning. I'm obsessed with church. What am I going to read? I'm going to read books about church. I'm going to listen to podcasts about church. I love creativity. So I'm going to follow people who have great creative minds. That is a part of being grown. And you and I both know it's stretch, grow, strength. I mean, we try to just jump to strength, but there's stretching in that. And there is a long journey of growth. And I'm just believing, again, stagnant teams disengage. When they know they're not winning, they're going to lack engagement. That doesn't mean fake it, but it does mean you and I have to understand that our teams get the wins and we take the losses. So number 2 was growth. Number 3, recognition. People stay where they feel seen. Write this down. Name it, celebrate it, share it. We have to be so good at positive reinforcement. If you are constantly a nag or going back and coaching somebody on what they're not doing right, you're not being a good leader. You have to go ahead of them and give positive reinforcement when they're doing something well. That will get multiplied. What you celebrate will get multiplied in your culture. So if you only celebrate the things that have ulterior motives, that will be continually reproduced in your culture. But if you celebrate somebody going above and beyond, somebody is doing such a great job on a Sunday, so new worship leaders sang amazingly and led the room so well, you have to be okay with celebrating people. And these are just 2 super, super, super simple solutions. Add a win of the week segment to your team communication. Slack, email, group chat, meetings. Shout somebody out specifically for how they served or what they specifically did. I try to always do this at our Sunday huddle where we have all of our directors and key leaders right before we jump into team prayer. There was always somebody who gets highlighted and I want to celebrate them. I want our team to know we love them, we're for them, and we believe God's hand is on them. So just try to bring out more wins than losses, and positive reinforcement is everything. The second solution is implement honor. Moment in your monthly team nights or Sunday huddles. Bring a volunteer to the front, share a quick story about their impact, honor them publicly. I'm so huge on this. I promise you, on a Sunday morning, if you pulled somebody up on the platform, you spoke life into them, you prayed over them, you had your team lay hands on them and pray for them, they will not only remember that, that'll mark their life, but that is honor. And we want to honor up, honor down, and all around. If you just honor up, it's not honor. But showing honor, actually cherishing somebody, not for what they can do for you, but who they are, their character, the nature of their culture when they show up to church, I believe is everything. So people will stay when they feel seen. Number 4, autonomy. This one's huge. Ownership builds energy. Micromanagement crushes it. Write this down. Empower, then step back. It's me, we, you. I'm going to do it, we're going to do it, you're going to do it. You have to lead from trust. You can't acquire it over time and just hope that over time I'm going to trust him to do his job. I understand that some people have that philosophy. I don't. It doesn't work. Because if you're hiring the right people or you're bringing the right people in on leadership, they don't need to be led and they don't need to be micromanaged. So instead of giving clear instructions, give a clear outcome. Then let your leaders or team leads figure out how to make it happen. Trust grows when freedom is given. I believe a great statement attached to this is freedom within a framework. This is how we lead. This is how I lead all of our directors. I say, hey, we're going to lead from a freedom within a framework standpoint. Here's your framework. Here's our parameters. Here's our values. Now you're a leader. These are your framework. Stay within this, but build your area. Love your area. Act as if you own it because I'm asking you to own it. And that just builds energy. It builds excitement because people don't want to be hovered over. They want to feel trusted. They want to feel like they can actually make a difference and not just be your puppet. The other solution attached to this one is have a post-service debrief and ask, what would you do differently next week? This shifts the mindset from compliance to ownership and creativity. Most of the time, in those one-on-ones or environments where somebody's asking for feedback or you're asking them, just make it open-ended. Hey, what were your thoughts on Sunday? And letting them share and having thick skin and a soft heart in the midst of this so you don't get offended, and just let them speak. Let them give feedback. Let them own it. There's something that they see that's most of the time because God highlighted it to them to be the actual solution. So always be asking, what would you do differently next week? Hey, if you were in my role, what would you do differently? What feedback would you give me? Giving them autonomy, loving them, serving them, pastoring them 100%. So you're not dumping, but you are delegating. You're delegating authority, not just tasks. Number 5, challenge. People grow when the bar is high and support is strong. Ask yourself this right now on this podcast. Do I allow people to grow because the bar is high? That there's always challenge, that there's always a way that we can get better. We're not seeking perfection, we're seeking progress, but we actually should be seeing progress. Can't make a mistake twice in a row. And you got to support them. Support is everything. That when they fall, when they make a mistake, you're there to catch them. And you're there to affirm them, build them up, and let them try again. A challenge is a gift, not a punishment. If you're a coach and you're not talking to a player, it's because you don't trust them and you don't want them to play. The coach, the person that they're on the most, is always their favorite and their best player. Nick Saban always talks about this, that right in their summer camps or their spring camps, he would ask the whole team, who have I been the hardest on this season? And they would have to pick somebody. And every single time when they did it, all of them knew that's the guy. That's the leader of the team. That's the person that Nick Saban knows is our primary leader. And he's hard on them. And that's great. That's challenge. We want to get better. If you want to give leaders something weighty to carry, a part of a team night, an event, a special moment on Sunday, walk with them, coach them, and celebrate the growth. If any of your leaders feel like they're hitting a lid, that is your fault. It's not their fault. They should never be hitting a lid. If they're hitting a lid, that's just an indicator you're not giving them enough challenge, you're not giving them enough vision. And those two things are everything, especially when you're trying to acquire and build A+ leaders. If you want mediocre helpers or managers, don't worry about challenge. But if you want to consistently push forward and build something amazing, you have to understand people grow when the bar is high and support is strong. Number 6, this one might be one of my favorites and most important, connection. People don't give their best when they feel disconnected. This is what you need to do the rest of the year or the rest of the time you're building your church, building a small group, building any business. Build families, not functions. If you can focus on practically and literally building healthy families and modeling what a healthy family is, but also understanding that the way we work together, the way we build together really does feel like a family. Although it's not a family, but they do all have families. And us building healthy families, not just cool functions, will continue to help your engagement. So this one is so simple, and yet I rarely hear churches do this. Plan something for fun once a month. Team brunch, game night, volleyball after church, sand volleyball. Maybe you go on a vacation. Maybe you rent an Airbnb and stay for 2 nights with all of your direct reports. The Power of Moments is one of the best books I've ever read as far as in ministry or leadership, where we have to be a person who understands I need to create space for me to connect with my leaders. And connection doesn't happen in 5 minutes. It doesn't happen in a 30-minute one-on-one. It takes intentionality. The byproduct of that is people being more bought in and people being engaged. Although those things are not the motives of loving and serving and creating space, the motive is just simply to create healthy people. Really, the second solution attached to this one is pair new team members with a buddy for the first month. It builds relationships and helps people stick. It also develops leaders by having them care for others. You should always have somebody be shadowing with somebody. If you're a leader and you haven't had somebody shadow you in the last 2 months, you're not leading them. You should be ready to replace yourself at any moment. When your pastor is like, hey, I want to promote you. I want to put you in a new higher place of authority, and you haven't thought of the person, you're not going to be next. You always have to have the person who's next up. And just create moments for connection. Spend time with people. You are not their pastor if they've not been in your home. If you haven't had a meal together, you're not their pastor. You're not the leader. Spend time laughing together. If you can't laugh together, I promise you, we can't serve together. So I'm going to read through these 6 thoughts again, these 6 indicators of engagement. In every standpoint in 2025, engagement is always the thing that people care about. Engagement is way better than total views, total likes. All that stuff is amazing, but people care about engagement on social media, on any platform, but also in any organization. So these are the 6 indicators of engagement: purpose, growth, recognition, autonomy, challenge, and connection. So if your team is disengaged, inconsistent, or tired, don't just look at performance, look at engagement. So here's some questions you can ask to help apply this episode. Is there a breakdown in purpose? Are we helping people grow? Do we celebrate enough? Are we giving real ownership? Have we stopped raising the bar? And have we made space for connection? Remember, you don't drift into healthy culture, you build it. These 6 signs will help you get there. If this helped you, send it to your leader, send it to maybe a peer, talk it through with your team this week, because healthy teams build healthy churches. We'll see you next week.